Borodar, welcome to Expansive. I am Yar TTomlliw, and it's been 3 years since Judgment Day in the Gearsverse. 5 years since you've had a numbered installment in this epic, globally recognized franchise. But finally, the Coalition have brought this game back to Xbox One and Windows 10 for the very first time with a brand new installment and what we believe to be the beginning of a brand new trilogy. And this is really exciting times for the franchise because yes, you're going to get to meet some of the old classic characters, but you also got a new cast, you've got new weapons, new modes, there's a real esports focus, it's on a brand new engine, there's all kinds of different things that have been added to Gears of War 4 which really separate it from previous games in the franchise. And some of these new features include roadie running into a vault hop. You can actually vault hop when diving into cover as well to make the action much more seamless and dynamic. And I really think that's going to support the esport focus that the Coalition are aiming for, but also really make multiplayer much more smash mouth, in your face, aggressive style. And I think Gears of War has previously been criticised from players staying in cover from a range and peppering their enemies with shots and not really getting hurt and damaged, making it very difficult to get them. There's so many features and so many elements have been added to Gears of War 4 that is going to be much harder for people to accomplish, and it's certainly going to make the action online much more faster paced and much more interesting. It really needs to support that because enemies will literally boot you out of cover, they will charge you a reckless abandon, and they will blast you to pieces without so much as a shred of regret with their gnashes. They will rip you to shreds with lancers. It is just so much going on all the time. But there are new guns as well, not just the old classics like the auto firing enforcer and the Martska MK1. There are big beasts like the overkill which really blast enemies to smithereens, and then you've got the buzzkill which fires out these sharp edged discs which reverberate behind enemy cover and can actually slice them to pieces even when they're trying to hide from you. And even the Hammerburst makes a welcome return and has actually seen some real marked improvements, making it more of a gun of choice. I couldn't stand this gun in previous games, but to be honest, with my time with the Hammerburst now, I'm actually finding it quite effective. But stealth can also be rewarded in game as well, which is slightly different for Gears of War games of the past. If an enemy and you are sharing the same spot in cover and they're directly opposite you, you can yank them across to your position and then impale them with a dagger. Yank and shank, I think, is going to be a real crucial factor in multiplayer games, and I think it's going to change the way the game is played online as well. You could even vault kick someone out of cover if you roadie run towards them, and then once they're exposed and dazed, you can either execute them with knife kill or you can pepper them with bullets. But you need to be careful because they can actually counter that move as well by tapping B at the right time and kill you instead. The time reload, of course, is a huge part of the game. By tapping to reload at the right time on the active bar, hitting white is a perfect reload and actually gives you a damage boost. But if you hit it in the black end of the bar, then the gun jams and your reload time actually ends up being slower, which can be really crucial and deadly if you're in a horde mode and you get overrun. The campaign, on the other hand, is really diverse with a real range of things to do. You get the horde influences of action, but you also get these real dramatic set pieces that will put Nathan Drake's Fortune Forays to shame. Seriously, there is stuff in here that really rivals stuff that you've seen from Uncharted 4 earlier this year from Naughty Dog to really put it in the Game of the Year conversation. The new characters work well together, they produce a fun chemistry, and each have something unique to offer the story in fun and insightful ways. And they've even got some big actors involved like Jimmy Smits, who you may recognise from The West Wing, Eugene Bird, and of course Liam McIntyre from Spartacus. And I think most excitingly of all, split screen co-op is back with a vengeance. You've already seen this exile from games like Halo 5, but Gears of War and the Coalition have really expressed an effort to bring split screen back. And it's such a welcome, refreshing change because this generation really has moved away from that and tried to focus on online co-op between individual people and having individual screens. And you can certainly do that with crossplay, and I think that's more accessible than ever because obviously if you own it on PC, you own it on Xbox One and vice versa if you do it digitally. But you still have the split screen element as well, which supports across horde mode, it supports across versus and the campaign, and it just works really well. And I bet there'll be some concerns of people thinking with Unreal Engine 4 that it might be too hot and heavy, and actually that sometimes is the case. You do get the occasional stutter and stammering, but generally, having played the campaign from beginning to end in split screen, I can tell you it holds up really, really well. One player will take the role of Kate, while the other takes on the lead man JD. And the aim of the sort of the campaign generally, you're fighting these DBs and shepherds, these robotic creatures, but as you're gradually progressing through the campaign, as you're sort of seeing on the horde mode of the screen at the moment, you get some slightly unusual alien-like creatures which may look a little familiar to something you've encountered in the Gears of War universe before. But enough on that, I'll let you experience that when you come to the story yourself. But what I've said before on the top of this is that it's clearly setting up a trilogy arc. And while this hasn't necessarily been confirmed, there are things and there's seeds sown in the campaign that really set up this trilogy arc, whether it's interactions between characters, whether or not it's revelations you learn, whether or not it's things that have happened in the past that are having an effect on the present. And I think that it's safe to say that Gears will be driving the Xbox brand forward in the years to come. Not necessarily Halo, because Halo 5 really did divide people, but I can tell you that as an Xbox exclusive, well, you also get it on Windows, but as a console exclusive, Gears of War is a real solid, genuine reason to own an Xbox One if you don't have a PC capable of playing this game. And there's a TACCON, of course, in the multiplayer modes, which brings up an overlay of the info, displays your team's objectives, your weapons, and your location. You can even mark targets and items for your allies to focus on. Then there's the War Journal with full player stats across rank, social, horde, and campaign. You can see what percentage of kills you've received with each weapon, what you tend to favour, what you use the least. There's full leaderboards between social and horde, looking at friends as easily as a global leaderboard. And the Horde tab also lets you see which Horde class you've used the most, because actually in this you're taking the hint from Overrun, from Judgment, in that you have classes. You have Soldier, Scout, Engineer, Sniper, and Heavy. And you can find out the stats like kills with that class and how well you've done in each match. And there are variations on Horde and it's adapting the class-based system, but meshing it with what we already know. As you've sort of seen in this, there's a Fabricator in Horde mode, and you can use that Fabricator to build fortifications and weapons and other bits, but the trick is you need to claim power from fallen enemies. So each enemy that's down will drop some power, and then you will need to collect it and return it to the Fabricator. You can stack this for as long as you want, but if you don't deposit it, you're running the risk of actually dying and losing control of the match. And obviously, if you lose control of the match, then there's an issue that if you don't get the right fortifications up, then your team is going to fail the entire wave. You could be seriously affecting the team's chances of success. And this is going to be especially necessary in later stages when health increases and accuracy improves, and energy does become more scarce, and these fortifications do cost a lot of energy. But you also have bonus waves where you earn power-ups like sawing 8 enemies or performing a set number of executions. But the flip-sided enemy variant of Horde that you found in Gears of War 3 unfortunately seems to be gone, and you're just facing the bad guys as soldiers of war over again. But don't worry, this is still great fun and a really entertaining, effective challenge. And you still have the core modes of versus like Team Deathmatch and Dodgeball, where every kill will bring back a dead teammate, King of the Hill, Arms Race, where you're killing enemies with almost every gun in the game. You've got Guardian, where you execute the enemy's team leader to prevent respawns, and Warzone, where you only get 1 life per round and must defeat the enemy team. There's even competitive mode like Escalation, which you capture objective rings to score enough points to win, or if you capture all 3 at the same time, then you win the match instantly. And then you get new weapons added every round. And there's also Execution, where you eliminate all the enemies using executions, but you only have, again, 1 life per round. But also added to multiplayer is that bounties are also used in versus and give you a boost of XP if you fulfill their requirements. For example, if you get a score of 1000 or higher in an arms race match, you will earn 2000 XP. However, these cards need to be created with scrap, which is earned after each multiplayer match. You can also destroy duplicate cards to earn more scrap. There are some unfortunate issues with the game, like cutscene skipping does take an overly long period of time, and there are some minor glitches at certain sections, in addition to some questionable team AI when they don't come to revive you at critical moments. On the whole, Gears of War 4 is gratifyingly grisly and a genuine Game of the Year contender. There is so much to love here. There's Unreal Engine 4, they've got the memorable landscapes and the heart-stopping set pieces. This is just a wonderful experience and a genuine reason to own an Xbox One. Get it today, you're not going to regret it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Let us know what you feel about the Gears franchise and how much you've been playing the Gears of War 4. We'll see you next time.